G'day, my name is Damien Beard, and this is my video blog for COMP3530. This is week 1, so this is my introduction video, which is good because that lines up with the topics for this week. So far, the impression I get of this course is that it's not trying to be a typical course that wants us to memorize facts or reproduce a programming language or be able to, learn it off by heart. I more get the impression that this course is about broadening our perspective on software engineering. I mean, at least that's what I've gotten from the reading, that does try and paint software engineering as one part of the picture in the whole context of systems engineering. So if I had to quickly sum up and simplify what we had done this week, based on Lawrence's talk, the article that Shane posted about the F-35 fighter jets, the reading, the tutes, everything. I think that there are really two main points that we should walk away from this week with our heads around. The first point is that software engineering is always going to be concerned with people in one way or another. You're always going to be developing in teams. You're always going to have end users. You're going to have end users who make mistakes. You're going to have someone who's paying you to make this software. You're going to have politics involved. No matter what type of software you're building, no matter what system it is, no matter who your employer is, at the end of the day, you're going to be involved with people, and you're going to have to keep that in mind when you're developing software. So, like it or not, you can't just build software in a basement somewhere and hope to sustain that as a career. The second point is that there's a critical need to view software as part of a larger, more dynamic and complex system. You can't just view your software as the product in its entirety, because it's going to be put in a computer somewhere, it's going to be put in a plane somewhere, it's going to be put in a hospital somewhere. It's going to have more things involved with it than just your program. It's not the be-all and end-all. And as a developer, you need to make sure you have that perspective of the system that you want your software to be part of, because if you don't, then you're really setting yourself up for errors. So from this course, I hope that I can get a wider perspective on the type of systems that I could be working on once I graduate. I don't know where I'm going to be in 2 years' time or 5 years' time. So getting those talks from the guest lectures and seeing where they're coming from, and if they're, from the industry or they're from research or whatever, getting a wider perspective and seeing where software fits into that point and where the things that I'm interested in developing fit in. I think that'd be something that's interesting, but also give me a better perspective on where my work would fit in once I actually get out into the workplace. As for a time for when software was blamed for a critical error in which it wasn't just the only thing that was involved, I'm going to bring up the story of death by radiation, but not the normal Therac 25 one where there was the keystroke problem. This was one that was, I've got to check my notes, that was in Panama, where doctors were using a radiation machine, and basically they got these 4 blocks they could put on to control where the radiation went, but they ideally wanted 5. So instead of getting software changed or anything else, they tricked the software and they used it in a way that it wasn't supposed to be used, and it ended up doubling the radiation that people were supposed to get. Sorry, this was in November of 2000, by the way, at the National Cancer Institute in Panama City. So 8 people died, and it was initially just blamed on the software, saying the software was faulty. But when it came down to it, it was the doctors who had messed with it. And it was actually a requirement of the physicians there to check that the dosage was right before it got administered. And so because they didn't do that, they're now facing murder charges in Panama. So I guess the moral of that story is, when writing software, don't count on your users trying to use it in the right way, because they might actually intentionally mess with it or accidentally mess with it, and it can cause a lot of issues if you don't account for it. But also, as the court is now deliberating on, that software wasn't the cause of death, and I mean the developer's not on trial, it's the physicians who messed with the software that are now getting charged for it. And it also comes down to the requirements as well. If the doctors needed 5 blocks and the software developer only made 4, then the person who was running that project really should have checked with them before they implemented and rolled out that software. So this has been my first video blog for COMP3530. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I keep making them, and I will see you next week.